You think you know what heartbreak feels like. You think you know what revenge looks like. But trust me, you've never heard a story like this. For 8 years, I built a life with Mark. A home, a future, a love I thought was unbreakable. Until the late nights, the secret phone, and the sickly sweet smell of a new, expensive cologne told me my husband was building a life with someone else. I didn't cry, I didn't shout, I didn't even pack a bag. I just opened his secret stash, grabbed his favorite bottle of tropical scented lubricant, and swapped every single drop of it for industrial strength superglue. The result? A panicked call from the police, a pair of cheating lovers permanently fused together in a compromising position on a cheap hotel couch, and the glorious sound of the fire department having to cut them both free. This is the ultimate story of how I served my cheating husband a sticky, unforgettable lesson, and why you should always check the ingredients in your spouse's secret supplies. Welcome to Voice of Alicia, where stories breathe, emotions speak, and every word paints a world of its own. Close your eyes, relax your mind, and step into a story crafted just for you. It started, as most nightmares do, with a creeping suspicion, a feeling deep in your gut that something vital is missing, or worse, being taken away. Mark and I had been married for 8 years. 8 years of building a life, a home, a rhythm that I thought was unbreakable. He was a successful real estate agent, charming, always on the phone, always driving a nice car. I told myself his long hours were just the cost of ambition, but lately, the ambition felt directed elsewhere. The signs, in a retrospect, were blindingly obvious, but love is a powerful filter. It polishes the rustiest excuses until they shine like truth. He started working late on Sundays. Sundays, the one day we always reserved for us, even if it was just lying on the couch reading. Then came the sudden need for a second phone, a work phone, he called it, which he guarded like a state secret, and the cologne, a new, expensive scent that wasn't the sandalwood I loved. This one was sharper, younger, almost aggressive. I found the first undeniable proof one rainy Tuesday afternoon. He'd left his work laptop open on the kitchen counter while he rushed out to a last-minute closing. Tucked into the bottom right corner of the screen, minimized but not closed, was a messaging app. Just a sliver of a notification caught my eye. It was from someone saved simply as K. The text preview read, "Can't wait for our lunch break later, baby. Bring the whipped cream." My stomach didn't just drop. It completely imploded. The world tilted on its axis, and I had to grab the counter to stay upright. Kay. Who was Kay? I knew instantly this was the ugly, terrifying answer to all my quiet fears. I closed the laptop, my hands shaking so violently I nearly dropped it. I didn't confront him immediately. Confrontation, I realized, was what he wanted. It was the messy, loud finale that would give him the freedom to walk away and play the victim of a jealous wife. I needed silence. I needed time to transition from heartbroken wife to cold, calculating strategist. For the next 2 weeks, I became an invisible spy in my own home. I learned his routines, his excuses, his lies, and the name of the woman, Kayla, a blonde junior associate at a rival firm. I listened as he told me he was stuck in traffic when he was actually across town, giggling on the phone in a voice I hadn't heard him use for me in years. He was planning a little getaway, a business trip to a coastal town about 3 hours away, a weekend. 3 days and 2 nights. This was my moment. The canvas for my masterpiece of revenge.
My revenge couldn't be a shouting match. It couldn't be broken plates. It had to be poetic, indelible, and public enough to scar him forever. And it had to involve his favorite thing, the thing that facilitated his deceit, the things he kept hidden.
Mark was meticulous about his little stash of secrets. He kept a small, black toiletry bag tucked deep inside his home office desk drawer, locked with a tiny key he wore on his key ring. Inside, I knew, was the lubricant, a brand he insisted on, a ridiculous, highly scented, tropical-flavored kind that I always hated. He was taking this bag with him on his business trip. I needed to access that bag without him knowing. The key was the hardest part. He only took it off when he showered, so I waited. I literally sat in the living room, pretending to read a book, timing the exact moment he'd be fully enveloped in the bathroom steam. The second I heard the water running, I flew into the bedroom. His pants were on the floor. I snatched the key ring, my fingers clumsy with adrenaline, found the tiny silver key, and sprinted down the hall to his office. The lock was cheap and clicked open easily. Inside the toiletry bag, there it was, the tropical scented lubricant. Next to it, a small bottle of the most powerful industrial-grade adhesive I could buy, the kind used for heavy construction. I'd acquired it weeks ago and kept it hidden. It was clear, odorless, and fast-acting. I didn't even hesitate. I unscrewed the cap of the lube, poured about a quarter of the contents out, and then began the slow, careful process of filling the bottle back up with the superglue. I used a small kitchen funnel to ensure I didn't get a single drop on the outside of the bottle. The consistencies were similar enough that the color and texture looked perfect. I shook it lightly, a macabre cocktail. I wiped the bottle down with a cloth, screwed the cap back on tight, and put it back in the bag. Locked the drawer, returned the key. I was back in the living room, heart pounding, when Mark walked out of the shower, wrapped in a towel. He never noticed a thing. The next morning, he was all smiles and forced affection, telling me he'd call me as soon as he checked into the hotel. I kissed him goodbye, wished him a productive trip, and watched him drive away, my reflection in the window looking back at me, unrecognizable. A woman in the calm before the storm. For the first 12 hours, I was a wreck. What have I done? I thought. This is insane. This is irreversible. This is criminal. I paced the house, alternating between fits of hysterical laughter and cold terror. I kept waiting for the phone to ring. I kept expecting the police to show up. But nothing. Silence. Just the quiet hum of a house that was now mine, all mine. Then, at 11:47 p.m., my phone rang, not Mark's number. It was the local police department of the coastal town, the town he claimed to be in for business. My blood turned to ice. A police officer's calm, official voice was on the line. "Hello, Mrs. Markowitz? I'm calling regarding your husband, Mark Markowitz. We're currently at the Seaview Inn. There's been a situation." My voice was steady, unnervingly so. A situation? Is he all right? Did he have an accident? The officer sighed. "Physically, ma'am, he appears to be fine, but he and another individual are currently, they've become accidentally adhered to one another. We have EMS and the fire department on scene. They insisted you be called." Accidentally adhered? I almost dropped the phone. The phrase was so absurdly formal for the ridiculous reality. I knew exactly what adhered meant. The glue had worked. It had worked perfectly. I don't understand," I lied, my Oscar-worthy performance kicking in. "Adhered? Like super glue? What on
earth were they doing?
The officer cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. It appears, ma'am, that they used a faulty product they believed to be personal lubricant. It was, in fact, an industrial adhesive. They are currently intertwined and stuck to a leather couch in a rather compromised position. I had to bite the inside of my cheek until it bled to keep from bursting out laughing. A leather couch? Oh dear, that's embarrassing. Is the other person a colleague?
The other party is a Miss Kayla Jenkins, ma'am. We believe she may be the woman he was listed as being on a business trip with. He paused, perhaps sensing my shift in tone. They are in significant discomfort and pain, and the fire department is attempting to separate them without causing serious tissue damage. They are requesting any information you have about the product used.
The product? I feigned confusion. I have no idea. Mark buys all his own things. He's very private about that. I haven't seen his toiletries in months. I was giving him nothing. No liability, no help. They mentioned a tropical scent, Mrs. Markowitz. Oh, that stuff, I said with a casual sniffle. Yes, he's always loved that awful, sugary, sweet tropical flavor. Said it was exciting. You know, I actually think I heard him complain about it recently. Said it was getting thick and sticky. He must have bought a bad batch, maybe a knockoff from the internet. You should definitely check the manufacturer, officer. This could be a health hazard. I was hanging him out to dry. The manufacturer, a knockoff. Anything to point the finger away from me. I told the officer I was too upset and shocked to drive down right now, but I would be available for a statement later. I hung up the phone and walked straight to the bathroom. I looked in the mirror, and the reflection that stared back was no longer heartbroken, but triumphant. The local news coverage was spectacular. It wasn't national, but in that small coastal town, it was the scandal of the century. The headline was something about an intimate mishap gone wrong involving a prominent out-of-town realtor. They didn't use names, but they described the scene in vivid, hilarious detail. Two people, intimately entangled and permanently bonded to an expensive leather hotel couch. The fire department had to literally cut the section of the couch they were stuck to out of the room, wrap the whole unholy unit in a blanket, and transport them to the hospital, where they were forced to wait while a team of dermatologists and specialists attempted the agonizing process of dissolution. The process took over 7 hours. I heard rumors of chemical burns and minor skin grafts. The public humiliation was total. Mark called me the next day. His voice was hoarse, tight with pain and absolute pure fury. "You knew," he spat into the phone. "You did this. You switched it." "Mark," I said sweetly, calmly stirring my coffee, "I have no idea what you are talking about. I was called by the police and told you had an accident with a faulty product. I told the police exactly what I knew, that you'd complained it was sticky and you must have bought a bad batch. Honestly, darling, you should really be more careful about where you source your personal supplies. It's a miracle you didn't both lose some skin." "You are going to regret this, you crazy lunatic," he hissed. "No, Mark," I replied, my voice dropping to a cool, hard register. "I don't think I will. I think you're the one who's already experiencing the fullness of regret. Now, here's what's going to happen. I am filing for divorce this afternoon. You will sign the papers immediately. I am keeping the house,
the car, and half of your commissions from the last 3 years to cover the cost of the excruciating emotional distress and public embarrassment you have caused me. If you contest this, if you so much as breathe the word glue to anyone, I will leak every single detail of that incident to every single paper, blog, and social media platform that will listen. I will make sure your professional life is a complete and utter wasteland. I will make sure "stuck with his mistress" becomes your epitaph. The line was silent for a long moment. I could practically feel the heat of his anger and the cold dread of his realization. His reputation was his currency. Without it, he was nothing. "You win," he finally ground out. "No, Mark," I corrected him. "I didn't win. You just finally received the consequences you earned, and they were sticky." We hung up, and that was that. The divorce was swift, painless for me, and utterly devastating for him. Kayla pressed charges against him for negligence regarding the faulty product, which was the final, perfect twist. She thought she was suing the manufacturer. Mark knew he was paying for my crime, but he could never reveal it. Life after Mark was quiet, peaceful, and surprisingly free. I sold the big house, bought a cozy condo, and started a new career. Every now and then I see his name pop up in an article, a small, sad story about a once prominent realtor who now works primarily out of state. He is a cautionary tale, a legend whispered among old colleagues. And sometimes, late at night when the world is quiet, I remember the image. The dedicated firefighters, the shocked paramedics, the unholy spectacle of two people who thought they were getting away with something secret and cheap, now fused together for the world to see. A permanent, painful reminder of where their sticky lies had finally gotten them. And I smile. It was perfect. It was everything. It was the moment I stopped being a victim and started being the author of my own closure. And that, my friends, is why you never mess with a woman scorned, especially one who knows the difference between a tropical lubricant and industrial adhesive. Thank you for spending your time with Alicia. If this story moved you, let your support be felt. Like, share, and subscribe. Your presence inspires the next tale. Until our voices meet again, stay calm, stay curious, and keep dreaming.